The Oakland County Farmers Market has also had to make a lot of changes during this time. Let's bring in Jeremy Brown. He is the market manager. He joins us on the Oakland County MegaCast this morning. Good morning. Thank you for being with us, Jeremy. We appreciate your time.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, give us a little update. What's the latest going on over there at the market?
Okay, so with the COVID-19 pandemic that started in March, a lot of businesses shut down, but the farmers market is considered an essential business due to the food that we have there. So we remained open, but we had to make lots of changes. And I think at the last count we were at over 50 different operational changes to make it safe for the public to be there. Things including the social distancing marks on the ground, adding the hand sanitizing stations at every entrance, doing directional flow underneath the canopy out back as well as inside the building. Spreading vendors out, trying to create that elbow room for people to move around and, create a better flow. So it's definitely been challenging, especially, I think I had heard you earlier, you're a big fan of the market. So, it can be very, very busy. It's been challenging, but I think overall everybody's been real receptive to the changes, been willing to, keep everybody safe. The mask wearing, inside is required. Outside, it's strongly encouraged, and we probably have over 95% compliance with that. And I do think people are trying to make their movements. They're giving wide berth to people, which is great. Unfortunately, due to our need to keep people safe, we have limited the amount of programming at the market. So, no food truck rallies, no food and wine nights, things like that. But we have been able to do some programming like our yoga at the market. We were able to do that because it's on the lawn area. People can socially distance. But yeah, lots of changes, but the public's still coming. Our old mentality at the market was to get people in and get them out. When parks assumed management, we wanted to get people in and get them to stay, whether it was a special event, an educational program, things like that. But due to COVID, we kind of needed to take a step back and say, let's focus on our core operations of the farmers and the growers and the food vendors. So I hate to say it, but to some extent, we've gone back to let's get them in, get their products, and then get them out and make some room for the next guest.
I definitely noticed the change when the parks took over the operations, especially when you guys added like the band area so that you could have band and entertainment. It makes it more of an event rather than just going to, like you said, get your vegetables, get your flowers, and get out. And I think that's one of the things that attracted so many people to Eastern Market is because it was an event to go to Eastern Market. Now you didn't have to drive the 32 miles down to Detroit. You could drive the 6 miles to the Oakland County Farmers Market. But I will say when I went this year, you're noticing not just fewer vendors, but also it seems to be there's a lot less fewer products available that the vendors are selling. And I'm guessing that had to do with the planting season. And you saw it more earlier in the season than now.
Well, we definitely had a handful of vendors that did not want to come back due to the pandemic, which I understand. And then also we limited it at the beginning. We didn't want the crafters. We wanted it just core essential products being, the food, the produce, and then the agricultural products being the plants and the flowers. So yeah, you probably didn't see as many vendors. What you probably noticed too is the space in between the vendors. We would leave a whole vendor stall empty between vendors. So it makes it look a little bit less empty, but we did that in order to create that elbow room, to create that social distancing space. But you're still going to be able to find, pretty much all the plants, all the flowers, all the produce that we've had in the past. You're probably going to see a few less of the handicrafters, just because, again, there was some concern, whether it's a health issue. We had some concerns with some vendors that didn't want to come back quite yet. But you're still going to find a large amount of items there and a good selection of vendors.
I keep forgetting to look on the ground, though, for the directions, and I always seem to be going against the flow. And every single time I go, which is pretty much every Saturday, I
Mhm.
forget and I end up at the one end to be able to go in. You come in through the one way, and I always have to walk back around. So it's just those little reminders, and it's happening in, the grocery stores are doing that as well as, the stores. But we forget to look down because your eye is so directed towards what's going on the eye level, and it's like eye candy out there, right? Like I want to see the plants, I want to see the flowers. I keep forgetting to look down on the ground. So going into fall time, I would imagine, is a pretty big time for the market.
Absolutely. After the spring flower season, there's a lull, and then the produce really picks up, and it really picks up, now in October when all the fall decor, whether it's the corn stalks, the straw bales, all the different gourds and pumpkins. Back in the day, it used to just be orange pumpkins. That's what people had, and now they all the vendors or all the farmers carry what they call uglies, and these are the non, or I could say the unique pumpkins that have the warts and the imperfections and just the craziness that are these new pumpkins that people are having. But it definitely picks up. People love that fall decor. They love getting their pumpkins. So it's going to stay really, really busy right up until Halloween, and then we will have a slump, and then it'll pick back up right before Thanksgiving, and it'll stay pretty good through the holidays.
Jeremy Brown with us, market manager at the Oakland County Farmers Market today, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. West Bloomfield Parks, our Facebook partner today. We're broadcasting live on their Facebook page, facebook.com/WB Parks. Jeremy, with that in mind, as the colder months of the year are approaching, there's less of an opportunity necessarily for consistent outdoor business. We've seen that with other retail. We've seen that with restaurants in the local area. Are we going to see that also with the Oakland County Farmers Market, and how may that affect business as we get further into the fall and head toward the winter season?
Sure, we always see that seasonal drop off in vendor participation. We always work to move the farmers inside because we consider they have a perishable product that has to be brought to market. So we'll move farmers inside so that their produce stays good. They just can't handle the 30-degree weather. And unfortunately, that means we need to move some of our handicrafters and other vendors to the outside, which is not ideal. Some of them can put up with the cold, but a lot can't. So you will see the decrease in the activity outside, but you're still going to see, once we get into the Christmas season, you see all the greens and the garland, the wreaths and all those good things. Those will really be prevalent outside, but you will definitely see a drop off in some of the handicrafters, maybe some of the bakers. Again, we have a finite amount of space inside that building, and we have nearly 100 years of history at that market, and farmers and growers take priority. Yeah, it's difficult as a market manager when you have to tell somebody you only have outside space. But unfortunately, that it's just the nature of the beast at the market. But we try to accommodate everybody inside, and hopefully some of them can put up with some of the cold outside. So yeah, you definitely see that tail off, but you also see the drop in guest visits as well. So like this last Saturday, we had about 3,500 people show up, and that's going to drop off tremendously. So it's a balance. You have less customers, but you have less vendors. But it really balances itself out for the vendors that are able to participate.
Getting back to addressing the fall season, I know in the past you've done a lot of things to try to bring people in. Have you done away with those extra special events this year?
Yes, unfortunately, like we would have done our corn roast. That unfortunately, because of the need for people handling food, eating on site, we needed to cancel that. We would normally do like a fall festival. Again, we're trying to limit I hate to say it, but limit the amount of people that come to the market and just focusing on our core operations. What you will see is more online programming. We've done some cooking demos with Michigan State University Extension health and nutrition educator, doing like a squash demonstration and some others. You're going to find that online at our Facebook page. And then we are still working for the winter time. We have an excellent cooking demo program with Edible Wow Magazine, and we are planning to do that. We're just going to have to work out some of the logistics on that. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the programming has gone away for right now. I mean, it's not forever. It will be back. People love all that stuff. It's, I always say the farmers and the growers are the foundation of the market, but all these extra special events and educational programming, that's added value stuff. And that brings people in, which helps our vendor sales. Because again, the farmers and growers are the foundation. And right now we're focused on them and their sales. But unfortunately, the large events and educational programming have to be put on hold for a little bit.
But I love the thought of trying to do a cooking demo, because when I go to the market, I'm not very savvy in the kitchen. Occasionally, I'll go on Pinterest and be like, "Oh, let me try this." But when I get to the farmers market, sometimes I get overwhelmed with trying to buy things that are in season, but I don't know really how to cook them. So I think if you can partner up and do a cooking demo, but let the vendors know, hey, you want to buy this because we're going to be doing a cooking demo. So then you buy it, and then on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, you say, hey, break out that squash. And I know a lot of people make like spaghetti squash or whatever. For me, I throw it on my front porch and the squirrels end up eating it. So that is just a regular person. I love the thought of that.
Yeah, and our vendors will tell you that when we hold one of those cooking demos, whether it's with Edible Wow or Michigan State University Extension, their sales increase because they've sampled this dish and they're like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. And you're correct. A lot of times people don't know how to prepare that egg corn squash or that spaghetti squash. And we all need tips. Sometimes the kitchen, our cooking skills can get a little stale and we need a little bit of variety. And we definitely help people do that. And we do always try to incorporate what the vendors have in season. And if I can talk briefly, products that are in season, we have a vendor, Penzine's Produce. He's got a lot of root vegetables and the squashes and stuff. He keeps those in cold storage, and he's able to provide those, the carrots, the potatoes, and things like that all winter long. He keeps them in cold storage, packed in dirt, and before he brings them to market, he washes them, and they're great. They stay really good. Also, like Brookwood Fruit Farm, one of our vendors, whose family you can trace back to the 1600s in Europe, coming over to the United States, and they've always been in apples and cherries and peaches. He too keeps apples in cold storage, and he's able to bring them to the market all the way until about the first to second week of March. We always like to try and use the produce that the vendors have available for these cooking demos and to show the guests.
I love that history that you just shared with us. That's great to know. What is it like for someone who is the market manager to try to get vendors to come here? Is there a competition amongst the other farmers markets, not just in Oakland County, but beyond?
Well, I'm very fortunate with being the manager at the Oakland County Farmers Market with nearly 100 years of history. It was founded in 1922 in Pontiac, and it moved to its current location in Waterford in 1953. So with that longevity, I have vendors that have been coming literally since the 40s and 50s, so I have a really good base. And then just because of how popular we are, to toot our own horn, vendors seek us out. So really, I've had to do very little recruiting of vendors, and especially this time of the year too, seeing as we're a year-round market and not all markets are year-round. Right now, literally in the last week, I've had 7 different vendors contact me to participate at the market. Of course, they want inside space because the weather's getting colder. But I just tell them, unfortunately, I don't have that, but you are welcome to set up outside. So again, very fortunate with the history and the popularity of my market to where people really seek us out to participate. Could always use more vendors on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Of course, everybody wants a Saturday, but you're still going to find a real good variety of things on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well.
In fact, I was just going to ask you about the other days. I know in the beginning of the pandemic, I believed, if I remember correctly, you added Sundays to try to break up that crowd. I don't think that's still happening, but with so many more people working virtually, has the other days at the market picked up, or is it just a matter of people knowing it's there?
Well, I think there's definitely that awareness. That's one of our biggest obstacles, creating awareness. It's funny, when Parks took over, we were doing all these special events, and somebody would come for, a fall festival and say, hey, this place is great. How long has it been here? And I'm like, since 1953. So awareness is always a difficult thing. I think business has picked up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's been a little while since I checked our car counters, but people are seeking out alternatives to the larger grocery stores. And when you shop at a farmer's market, you're dealing directly with the producer. So there's less steps in that product coming to market. So that's important. But we are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 1:30. I really try and get you to come on a Tuesday or Thursday, because Saturdays can be really busy, and we're concerned about social distancing. So if you have to come on a Saturday, I would come before 8:30 a.m. or after 11:30 a.m. Because that middle part is when we're at our busiest. So yeah, we did do the Sundays for a while, and that was to help with the pandemic, the need for food, the need to lessen that crowd on Saturday. We got to a certain point that the traffic just was not there to justify being open on that Sunday. Things had kind of, leveled out. But actually, we are talking about next spring, because it's our busiest time of year. We can see up to 5,000 people on a Saturday. We are talking about running Sundays, May 9th, which is Mother's Day, through probably the first or second weekend of June, just to take that crush off of Saturdays.
Jeremy Brown with us. He's the market manager at the Oakland County Farmers Market with us today on the MegaCast. Jeremy, the next several business days on Friday and Wednesday next week, a couple of exciting events and opportunities coming up at the Farmers Market. Care to talk a little bit about that, please?
Sure. So tomorrow, Friday, October 9th, we have a document shredding event. We started those a couple years ago with one, and now we've grown to 3. That will run from 9 to 11. You are asked to limit it to 3 to 4 boxes of your personal documents. You will come. It'll be really a no-contact experience. So you're going to come and line up. We will have volunteers and park staff, and that's actually in cooperation with the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, and we have Vibe Credit Union as our sponsor. So we will have 2 shredding trucks there. You pull up, pop your trunk, or we'll open the door. We'll take your boxes. We put them in a garbage container. It gets wheeled over to these big shredder trucks, lifts it up, drops it in, and shreds it immediately. So there's no concern about your sensitive documents being, put out there and left for a while. But that runs from 9 to 11. I would recommend you get there a little bit early. The line will get long right before it starts, but immediately at 9 o'clock, that line, boom, we start moving, and that line will dissipate rather quickly. So that will be our last one of the year. And then I would look for next year 4 more. And then since the pandemic started, on another program we're doing, we're a food pickup location for gleaners, and we're doing that cooperation with the Oakland County Health Division. And again, that will be from 9 to 11, October 14th and October 28th, and then we have 2 more dates for November and December. Actually, 4 more dates. Again, the line will get long, but they move through it pretty rapidly. But when the pandemic started, the Oakland County Health Division reached out to us and asked if they could use our location for this food pickup. And it's been wonderful. It's been a great resource for the community. At one point, I think our height, we did over 500 vehicles. So 500 families were able to come and get food. And it's a variety of things. It could be canned goods, fresh produce, it could be milk. Generally, they say about 30 pounds of food. And it is open to everybody. There's no income guidelines. If there is a need for food in your home, please come out and participate. Just keep in mind there is a limited amount. I believe they've been budgeting for 300 families recently, so we may get to a point where it is cut off. There are deputies there, and they will help with that traffic flow and cutting people off. Now, I hope that doesn't sound bad, but there is that supply. But those, again, 2 great things for the community. So even though we've limited a lot of the other program at the market, we're still doing things. We're still trying to be a value in the community.
You are definitely a great value to the community. We thank you to you and your entire team over there at the Oakland County Farmers Market for sticking with us during the pandemic and being able to provide us a much needed resource. Thank you so much for your time this morning as well, and good luck on your upcoming events. And I'll be out there Saturday, so we'll see you then.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you can always go to oaklandcountyparks.com for more information.